Dean, you good? I got no. Yeah. Yeah, no Wednesdays, or no Thursday, obviously. Yeah, it's holiday, yeah. Okay. All right, well, good morning, everyone, and welcome back to 2026 session here. I will officially convene the Executive and Legislative Nominations Committee's public hearings for Tuesday, February 10th, 2026 to order. We have two items on the agenda today. First one being the House Joint Resolution, which is the nomination of James Donegan of Milford to be a member of the Connecticut Port Authority Board of Directors. Please join us. Good morning.
Good morning.
If you can raise your right hand. Do you promise, swear, and affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Wonderful. Floor is yours for any opening remarks.
Thank you, Chairman Concepcion and Duff, Vice Chairs Godfrey and Looney, Ranking Members Yacarino and Berthel, and distinguished members of the Executive Legislative Nominations Committee of the General Assembly. My name is James M. Donegan, and I am honored to come before you today seeking confirmation of House Majority Leader Rojas's nomination to the Connecticut Port Authority Board of Directors. My career has focused on working in the state's maritime sector. For over 15 years, I worked with a Connecticut-based coastal engineering company where I had the opportunity to work with clients from municipalities, marinas, clubs, residential property owners, and commercial property owners. In this role, I gained a wide range of experience, including regulatory permitting, dredge planning and design, hydrographic surveying, evaluation and design of marine structures and facilities. For the last 6 years, I have worked with the City of Milford as Harbor Operations Director. I am responsible for all aspects of the city's transient marina, boat ramp, mooring fields, and waterfront harbor park. I'm also responsible for preparing annual department operating budgets and capital budgets and ensuring adopted budgets are managed appropriately. In 2022, I was appointed by Governor Lamont as Harbor Master for the City of Milford. As Harbor Master, I'm responsible for the general care and supervision of Milford Harbor and the Housatonic River. The goal of the Connecticut Port Authority is to grow Connecticut's economy and create job growth. I believe that the Port Authority is well positioned to continue to achieve these goals and have a significant impact. With my knowledge and experience, I am well suited to help the Port Authority continue and expand on the following priorities: dredging, future opportunities of Connecticut's deep water ports, continuation of the Small Harbor Improvement Program, tourism and recreation opportunities. Pending your confirmation today, I look forward to working closely with the members of the Connecticut Port Authority Board, the Executive Director and staff, the state legislature, and the Governor's office to achieve our goals. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to testify today, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Donegan. Thanks for being here. Congratulations on your nomination and your willingness to serve. Just a couple questions on my end. Is this a new appointment?
It is.
So have you attended any CPA meetings before?
I have attended 2 meetings, one special meeting and one regularly scheduled meeting.
Great. In your written testimony, you mentioned kind of the 4 main pillars that CPA is kind of the dredging issue, all that stuff. I wanted to focus on tourism and recreation opportunities. Do you have any recommendations on what CPA can do a little bit better for that? Because I totally agree.
Absolutely. There's a lot of things that can be done, and in that are at different scales. The city of Milford, for example, has what they've done is they've created a transient marina, city owned and operated, that brings in people to the downtown, visiting boaters who come from neighboring communities, other states, or people who might be out for an extended cruise. All the slips are rented on a transient basis to people coming in for the night, weekend, or even hour or two for lunch or dinner. And it really brings people into our downtown area and helps support the local economy.
That's great. In your work in Milford, did you work with CPA at all? And if you did, how effective was that kind of relationship?
In my work with the City of Milford as Harbor Operations Director, we have worked with the CPA at times. We've certainly followed what they are doing and what they're working on because their goals directly relate to what we're doing.
Great. And then CPA is always one of the things we always get is capital improvements for the Port Authority. Do you see any or what we can do better for when it comes to capital improvements?
You know, the Small Harbor Improvement Program that has been in effect for a number of years now and has been developed and continued. They just released that application period again, and it's a great opportunity for municipalities and other individuals to work on projects and advance things moving forward.
Great. I might have another question or two, but in the interest of time, I'll defer to my colleagues, starting with Co-Chairman Duff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning. Thank you for being here, and thanks for your willingness to serve on the Port Authority. Appreciate it. And going through your testimony, obviously you're very qualified for the position. One of the things that I'm interested in, and I assume we share some of the same overall general goals, is to ensure that our small harbors are being represented and that we are doing what we can to help to make sure that those harbors are being understood and utilized and advocated for the economic benefits that they show as well. And I think Milford, like Norwalk, both have a good story to tell on that. And from have you been to a meeting yet?
I have.
Okay. And ensuring that in those meetings that that voice is utilized properly. I have a nominee coming in as well, I believe next week, from Norwalk, and very pleased that House Majority Leader has appointed you as well. And just kind of getting your thoughts on how to figure that out as to, obviously we have large ports, we want to utilize those as much as possible because those help our bigger cities and our bigger communities, and wanted to also look at your thoughts on that as well, so that we are making sure we're focusing on both. And the other part of my question would be into dredging, as to kind of the machinations of that, especially with federal funding and working with local state resources as well.
Absolutely. I think small harbors are an important part of our economy. Um, NOAA lists the state of Connecticut as having 618 miles of tidal shorefront, and that's a very large area. There's over 27 communities that have approved harbor management plans in the state of Connecticut, and there's numerous coastal communities that all rely on what Long Island Sound brings to us. And I think having a voice for small harbors is absolutely important. And dredging is certainly one of those key aspects. Most marine facilities and harbors require maintenance dredging to continue operation. Some of those projects fall within federal navigation channel or mooring field. some of those projects fall within the property owner or the municipality. One thing that I know the Port Authority is working on now with the DEP and the Army Corps of Engineers is an update to the dredge material management plan. Currently, we have opportunities based on sedimentation analysis for open water disposal. But I think we also need to continue to expand upon beneficial reuse of that material and also look into CAD cells or other disposal areas that are suitable for material. And I think that's important because it certainly does hold up a lot of projects dredging, when those opportunities aren't available.
Yeah, thank you for that. And that was a really good point because in Norwalk, we had a private um, homeowner association that was on the water called Village Creek. And they were looking to use their sediment up the channel where they are to help with, I think, as you just said, with runoff and
Mhm.
to prevent them from doing this, having to do this again, and so close in the future. So I think that there are some good ideas that we can utilize because nobody wants a sentiment at this point. It's such an argument as to who gets it and why and where. Um, so that's really important. We were fortunate to have the Port Authority put some have a grant for docks and visitor docks and things like that, which I think are again helpful in our coastal areas because of the fact that we utilize these areas again so that everybody has the opportunity. If you have a boat or a small boat or some sort of a watercraft, you have an opportunity to get on the water just like anybody else who might belong to a private club. So all those things, in my opinion, are very important, which is why when we did the Port Authority legislation way back when, we made sure that there was the small harbors and the large harbors. So the reason I just harp on that a little bit, and I may with our other nominee as well, is just the fact that, and I know you know this, to just keep those in mind as we balance out all needs of small and large harbors and medium-sized harbors across the state. So thank you for your, again, willingness to serve, and I don't have any further questions.
Thank you, Chairman Duff. Representative Yakarino.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, both chairs, and good to be back this year. And nice to meet you, Mr. Donegan, and appreciate you stepping up to serve. And I appreciate, we had the private discussion earlier, you're a Boy Scout leader, and I think you'll take some of your skills working with people to continue the work with the Port Authority and to help our state. The challenges, there's got to be opportunities and challenges. Could you, and we have such a, I think you said 681 or 618 miles of shoreline, which is amazing. And there are many small ports in Connecticut. I live in North Haven near New Haven. I used to fish in New Haven and East Haven and Branford all the time as a boy. There's boats going through, not large tankers and small boats. So the opportunities or challenges we might have all the way from Greenwich all the way up to last town, Stonington, maybe. There's a question.
Absolutely. There are a lot of challenges. I know, in Milford, we look at, the harbor management plan looks at what is reasonable development of the harbor. We want our harbors to grow. We want more people to be able to use them and have the opportunity. But it does come with challenges. We spoke about dredging a few minutes ago. That's always a big challenge. Waterfront access. We're lucky enough to have a sizable boat ramp in the city of Milford and a big waterfront park that, allow people to come down and be around the water. But there certainly are daily challenges.
With that, though, there's got to be such opportunity for economic growth and for recreation. I think you had said it earlier to Representative Concepcion. There's got to be that ability to utilize the harbors and for economic growth. And you're from New York to anywhere, the Rhode Island to Connecticut. And are those opportunities you're going to look at with the board to continue to increase?
Absolutely. And I think, the opportunities that you're speaking of are certainly things that can be developed within small harbors. And having those facilities, you spoke about docks, and having those access points and those places that people can use And some of that does get factored in through the Small Harbor Improvement Program, where municipalities interested in building and constructing those types of facilities can apply and, and really move those projects forward.
I would think municipalities on the shoreline would want to work to Port Authority and to increase their foothold as far as their economic base.
Absolutely.
But I don't really have a lot more questions. I think I read your resume last night. It's very impressive. You've been around water for a long time, and I appreciate you volunteering and stepping up, and anything we could do. But just there have been some issues with the Port Authority, as you know, and the state auditors looked at some of the ways you could procure a little better. Hopefully, you and the rest of the members continue to look at that. And we're fortunate. We have one of the states where it's just all coastline. It's a great thing we have. So thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Haynes, followed by Senator Berthel, who is online.
Do you want the senator to go first as ranking? Okay. Thank you for being here, Mr. Donegal. I have to say that I've been to Milford Harbor and it is wonderful. So really appreciate the work that you've done there, and hopefully that can be duplicated in a number of other small harbors. It's really great. I have a question, two questions. One, does the CPA work with DEEP in developing these harbors, or will you be working with them in developing these harbors? And particularly the reason I bring up DEEP is because our fisheries are also part of our harbors. And I know that there have been struggles with some of the piers and ports and our fisheries, our harbor pilots trying to get space on docks and things like that due to the development of these harbors. And as much as the development of the harbor, like I said, I'm in love with Milford Harbor and what it looks like. At the same time, I know of fishermen from our new London Harbor who have been struggling with their space and being able to find spaces now that, the whole redevelopment thing that's going on in New London. So how do we balance that? And how do you feel that you'll be able to work with DEEP in doing that to keep our fishermen happy and our fisheries healthy and our harbors as wonderful it is in Milford? How's that for a loaded question?
Great, thank you. Yes, it's my understanding that the Connecticut Port Authority does certainly work with the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. And as far as space and harbor usage goes, it's certainly an important part of the whole plan. And the municipalities, and the people, it starts there as what do they want, their plan to be, what things do they need? I think the DEP starts to get into the picture when, as far as permitting of those structures go and any changes in that. And I do know that the Port Authority now is working with the DEP on several projects.
Okay. Great. Glad to hear that. And I hope that we can continue that, because that's an industry within Connecticut and our shorelines that is as equally as important as our tourism. So I want to be sure our fishermen are made whole in all of these, redevelopment agency issues. My second question is that how far reaching is CPA? Do you go up rivers? So for example, the Connecticut River, or the Thames River. I'm also very familiar with American Wharf in Norwich. Are those areas that you can have a reach and help and, motivate those areas? There's plenty of places on the Connecticut River that I think that we could develop more, even further up than Essex, which is I'm East Haddam, so that's why I'm asking. Would love to have some more docks and, be able to work that in. So are we able to, stretch a little bit on our shoreline? It's still a tidal river. It's still part of the shoreline. I don't know how far north you go, but would love to see up in East Haddam doing some stuff for us there.
I agree with you completely. And, it's my understanding that that is still tidal shoreline, and that's a important waterway of the state of Connecticut.
A lot of boaters and a lot of people are using the Connecticut River. So I do believe that we should, move ahead in any way we can there and help Norwich and build their harbor as well. So thank you very much. I appreciate you stepping up, and I look forward to seeing what you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Senator Berthel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning. Mr. Donegan, congratulations on your appointment. I share many of the same sentiments and well wishes as my colleagues on the committee. I think that your background, after reading your resume and then having you go through it and explain all of the work that you've done, is so critically important to good leadership on the Port Authority. So I commend you for that, and I also thank you for stepping up to serve. I guess the one question I have for you, and it may be a big question, maybe you haven't necessarily thought about it, but what do you see as right now? Because I'm sure you'll be I'm certain you'll be approved today, and the legislature will take appropriate action. What do you see as the most important thing that the Port Authority needs to get done, like the first order of business, if you will, for, let's say, your first official meeting as a member of the authority?
Were you able to understand?
I think the question was, what is the most important priority in the first order of business?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
It's a little,
Yeah, the audio was a little off, but yes, I think that was the question.
and to answer that question, I think it's hard to prioritize what would be the absolute first priority, because I think all of the priorities need to work somewhat concurrently. But at the top of the list is certainly dredging. And I think great strides are being made now in dredging, and I think we need to continue doing that. But I look at that as one of the top priorities.
Okay. I'm going to refrain. I don't really have anything pressing, and I understand the audio is not good. So I thank you for that answer. But again, I would agree. Dredging is a big issue. And again, congratulations. And Mr. Chairman, I'm going to hop off and see if coming back on changes the audio quality here.
Yeah, you actually sound great right now.
Oh, all right, perfect.
Yeah,
So,
it's itself.
yeah, I don't have any additional questions, but Mr. Donegan, I look forward to your participation on the authority. It sounds like, as I said, and my colleagues have said, you have a wealth of experience that I can't see how that doesn't help the authority to continue to do what's good for Connecticut and our residents and our waterways. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. Are there any other questions from committee members? Just looking online, I don't see any hands raised. So, Mr. Donegan, there is one question that we ask of every nominee. Is there anything in your past that you believe might prove embarrassing to this committee, to the governor, to the state of Connecticut?
No,
Thank you very much. And again, congratulations on your nomination.
thank you.
All right, moving right along. Second item on the public hearing agenda today is a Senate joint resolution. This is the nomination of Sally Cruz of Hamden to be a member of the Connecticut Port Authority Board of Directors. Welcome. If you can just raise your right hand. Do you promise, swear, and affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Wonderful. The floor is yours.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Everyone got my statement yesterday evening, so I thought I would read an excerpt from it, unless you would like me to read the whole thing.
Next would be perfectly fine.
Thank you, Chairman Duff and Chairman Concepcion, Vice Chairs Looney and Godfrey, Ranking Members Berthel and Yacarino, and other distinguished members of the committee. My name is Sally Cruz, and it is a privilege to be here with you today. I'm pleased and honored to come before you seeking confirmation of my nomination to the Board of Directors of the Connecticut Port Authority, CPA. I'm the Executive Director of the New Haven Port Authority, a post I've held since November 2021. My history in the maritime commerce of Connecticut is in the Port District of New Haven, where I worked in partnership with the private terminals and other port businesses, as well as the state and the city, the U.S. Coast Guard, among others. And during that time, I have become fully aware of the importance of maritime commerce to the city of New Haven, to the state, and even to the region. The 3 deepwater ports are essential to Connecticut's economy. Further, they're essential to the lives of the state's residents in ways that are often not understood or are overlooked. The ports are where the state gets its home heating oil, its vehicle fuel, building supplies such as steel, lumber, and wire, asphalt for street paving, and road salt and sand for winter street safety. But to complement these products, the New Haven Port Authority developed a strategic master plan that included a market analysis where we looked for potential new markets for which New Haven would be uniquely or very well suited once the Army Corps finishes deepening the channel. I have been attending Connecticut Port Authority board meetings as an interim board member since November of 25, but I was engaged with the CPA before that. In part, they gave us the grant to do that master plan, and in part, we worked with them to purchase some unused parcels of property from DOT, state DOT within the Port District. And those properties have now been placed into productive use supporting maritime commerce. Working with the CPA on these projects, I've gained great respect for the staff and the members of the board. I volunteered for this and some of the other things I've done because I think it's important that people participate. I think the world relies on people who participate. I thank Senator Looney and the members of the CPA Board of Directors for the confidence that they have placed in me.
Thank you so much, Ms. Cruz, for your willingness to serve. I could not agree with you more on the need for more people to step up on opportunities like this. Obviously your background and experience speak for themselves. So I think you're going to make a fine addition to the Port Authority. So you have attended obviously meetings before, and you have a somewhat relationship obviously with the inner workings of the Port Authority. What do you see as the biggest opportunity or the biggest challenges that it currently faces?
The Connecticut Port Authority?
Yes.
I think dredging, honestly. When you asked that question before, I thought about it briefly and said dredging, just as Jim said dredging. It is a problem not only for the 3 major ports, but it is also a problem for all of the harbors. And it's a problem because the dredge material has to go somewhere. And there are 3 open water disposal sites in Long Island Sound. And our neighbor to the south, the state of New York, would prefer that we not use any of them. And to that end, we need to be clever, and we need to be thoughtful, and we need to be proactive to find, wherever possible, other uses for that material.
Appreciate that. In your full written testimony, you mentioned that you chair the traffic board for the North Atlantic Port Association Board of Directors. Can you talk a little bit about your work there?
So the North Atlantic Ports Association is an association of ports that goes from Canada down to Virginia. And the traffic board is a subcommittee made up of anyone who wants to participate, any port authority who wants to participate. And it is tasked with researching topics that prior to them coming to the full board, to the full association. It is an organization that can act on its own, has a small budget on its own within NAPA. Last fall, we submitted comments both as the traffic board and as NAPA to the U.S. Coast Guard on their revised buoy plan. They were going to reduce the number of buoys. They called it optimization, but the harbor pilots were not comfortable with that. And so as the traffic board, we reached out to all of the harbor pilots, got feedback, brought it to the full organization, drafted comments, and submitted them. So.
That's great. Just one last question. In your work as the executive director over in New Haven, I'm sure there's some capital improvement projects that you're looking to finish? What are some of the kind of high priority ones, at least in New Haven?
So in New Haven, I mentioned in my testimony a couple of projects. One is to bring some rail spurs into the Port of New Haven, which will be very helpful and possibly key to growing the port and especially to attracting new types of cargoes to the port. The other one is to bring in some zero emissions equipment to replace current diesel equipment. Those are important things. As a port, we need to balance the commerce needs of the city and of the state with the fact that the maritime industry needs to become more ecologically sustainable. So other capital projects would involve potentially even bringing more rail into additional terminals, perhaps putting in other zero shore power and zero emissions equipment, expanding warehousing. That was one of the key things that in our market analysis was that you can bring in paper and pulp and other wood products, but it would require X amount square footage of warehousing. So
I appreciate that response. No other questions for me. Again, Mr. Cruz, congratulations on your nomination.
thank you.
Chairman Duff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your willingness to serve as well. And look forward to seeing your nomination move forward in both the House and the Senate as well. I didn't know that New Haven actually had a executive director of the port of the port, which is interesting because it does show the importance of the large ports here in the state of Connecticut. Can you tell me a little bit about that and how that influences your role on the Port Authority? Because I do think that does bring some valuable experience to an authority that may not have had somebody in your position to have a voice there.
So New Haven Port Authority was created by an ordinance of the city of New Haven in 2003. And I am the third executive director. I think it snuck in before the Connecticut Port Authority, actually.
It is, yes.
So it is very helpful, I think, to have somebody, an organization that is, we're not part of city government specifically, but created by the city. And we work with the city government, but our focus is the port. And I think it is helpful. The mandate is to work with the city and with the port operators to encourage maritime commerce and thereby increase job growth, taxes, and the economic base of the city of New Haven. New Haven is interesting in that all of the terminals are in private hands. We do own some property and we collect license fees from that, which we use to do our projects. And we are looking to purchase more property, in part because some of it is unused at the current time. And if we can purchase it and put it into productive use, that's helpful to everyone.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it because we see, Connecticut's a small state, and we see. I remember being down in Tampa, and they have a big port authority, and its scale is obviously very different than here.
Very different.
But nonetheless, it's important for us to have those. I think the port authority, like you have in New Haven, maybe Bridgeport, New London, because of the fact that there's major operations happening and there's a lot of potential for economic growth. And in the same way that we also can't forget our small harbors as well that have economic activity also. So I think it's a good balance. We have Milford, we have New Haven, we'll have Norwalk coming in as well, and I think that this is why we have this process, because it allows to have those balances that are there. And both of you saying, from a small harbor or a medium harbor and a port, that you have, that dredging is like a top issue, which is, it's all about money, and it's just money and figuring out what to do with with the material after that. So not easy answers, but those are the reasons why we create these authorities, so that you will help us dig into things and come up with solutions. So thank you for your testimony today, and look forward to supporting you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Representative Yakarino.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for stepping up. We had a nice discussion earlier. You have a wealth of experience, Port Authority. And in New Haven in particular, you have all the petroleum companies. I'm sure the city, you work well with it, I'm sure, with them.
Yes,
And they do take up quite a bit of space
They
at
do.
the harbor. But I noticed though, that Yale University has, they have sailing classes out there, because I don't live that far from there. And there's a lot of recreation in that area. Are there fees attached to that, to the city? Does the Port Authority collect and remit to the city? I'm just curious.
the recreational.
Yeah,
The Port
that's just
Authority.
strictly recreational.
The Port Authority, New Haven Port Authority is strictly the port district, which is on the east side of the harbor. It is strictly the heavy industry.
Yeah, the
port.
petroleum.
The recreational stuff, Long Wharf is
Yeah.
managed by the city itself directly. And there is the Canal Dock Boathouse.
Yeah, yeah.
Where, yeah, and that is a private organization that is associated and aligned with the city. And when they were putting in the Canal Dock Boathouse and they wanted to do recreational boating right there on the west side of the harbor, everybody in the terminals on the east side of the harbor was very frightened. They just had visions of many a unwary kayaker getting slammed by a ship, but it hasn't happened yet. They were assured by the sponsors of that project, and it really works out better than you might think. And fingers crossed, it really has.
No, it has, because I
Yeah.
go out there, I'll go out, like I said earlier, I fish there all the time, but I still kayak,
Mm-hmm.
but toward the East Haven Branford side.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the boats, they're all fairly distant away, but there's a lot of activity between New Haven, the west side, the east side, all the way out through East Haven and Branford. Of course, you have the Coast Guard there also.
Yes.
And I was stationed years ago. I was at the sub-base station, but for a short while, I was stationed at Fort Hill,
Mm-hmm.
which was a Navy and Marine base.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of activity, and I think it's good. And I think the neighbors have been good to each other. So you as will be on the Port Authority. You've already been on the New Haven Port Authority. Just continue your work, and we have to embrace our ports and our water activities, and for economic and other reasons. And one last question, Mr. Chair. The dredging. I live in North Haven, and there's a Cedar Hills project that Deep wanted to dredge part of New Haven Port Authority, but there was a pushback in our town for the sediment and the soil. Where do they put the soil now when they dredge? Because there's dredging that goes on, in the last few years. Where does that go now? Deep water or?
So the maintenance dredging that the Army Corps did in New Haven Harbor last year went out to Central Long Island Sound, which is one of the open water disposal sites.
Okay.
Generally speaking, what has been dredged by the Army Corps in the navigation channel in New Haven for 30 or 40 years has been clean enough for uncovered for open water disposal, and in fact has been clean enough that it can serve as cap for other material. When they do the deepening project, there are a couple of borrow pits, they're called,
Yep.
that were dug that are so deep that there's no oxygen down at the bottom and nothing grows in them,
Right.
lives in them. They will use some of this material to fill them and bring them up closer to the normal level and return them to active sediment, living sediment in the harbor.
Right.
They're also going to make a rock reef, because part of what is going to happen is there's a ledge at the entrance of New Haven Harbor, and they'll
Right.
have to blast that. So some of it will be used for beneficial reuse, and some of it will be sent for open water. If there's material that is contaminated somewhat, it can go out to open water underneath a cap done by the Army Corps.
Thank you.
Now, just on a side note, Bridgeport, one of the issues with Bridgeport and why it hasn't been dredged for so long is that material, even in the navigation channel, is contaminated. And they have to build CAD cells for that.
I appreciate everything you do. I know the harbor's cleaner now than it was when I was a kid, I believe, and appreciate you stepping up.
I've heard.
Excuse me, yeah. But anyway, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the indulgence.
You're Representative. Any other questions? I see a couple online. We'll go with Senator Berthel first, followed by Representative Gresco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My audio is clear?
Yes, sir.
All right, great. Ms. Krista, congratulations on your nomination. Again, I'm very impressed by the prior experience and knowledge that that you and our prior nominee have this morning, which I think that knowledge base and your willingness to serve will again be very beneficial to the Port Authority. I was going to ask you the question that I think the good chair started with you, so I won't repeat that. But you just spoke for a few moments about the contamination of dredging material. Can you just very quickly provide us with a very easy to understand, I guess, understanding of what are the contaminants? Why are these? Why is this dredge material so contaminated, and how did it come to be contaminated?
I have to face this way, don't I? The reason and the source of contamination is going to vary depending upon where you are.
Okay.
Much of the material that we end up dredging out of our harbors is material that came from upland. It washed off, it's soil, it's sand, it's sediment. It could be material that was put on the roadway, road sand, etc., that got washed into storm drains, and from there gets washed into our waterways. So the source can be from right next to the waterway, or it can be from farther inland. Generally speaking, the sources there have been spills. Some of them have been on land, some of them have been in the water. Some of this material was material that was maybe placed somewhere.
Mm.
Some of this material goes back 100 years.
Mm.
So where it comes from depends. I'm sorry to say.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. So I guess I was concerned that there was maybe some true negligence that was going on here that was contaminating our waterways. I think we're all familiar with part of my district incorporates the Houstonic River. And I know that from our neighbors to the north, that maybe that was nefarious or bad actors with a company that was dumping into the Houstonic up there in Pittsfield, and then it obviously made its way out to Long Island Sound. But no, I appreciate the insight, and maybe it's a conversation that we'll have with you outside of this confirmation hearing. But thank you for taking a moment to answer that. And again, congratulations. I look forward to your service on the authority. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. I'll add one more.
Sure.
It's not necessarily nefarious, no.
Okay.
Sometimes the things that happened were thought to be good or best practices at the times that they happened.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Representative Gresco, if he's still there. There he is. Followed by Senator Looney.
Thank you. appreciate the time, and we appreciate your willingness to step up and serve. And I apologize, I was on another committee meeting, and if this question has been asked and answered, please let me know. But as far as security goes, with especially the big three harbors, what's the path forward in your view, especially cybersecurity? I think that's the hot button issue at this point.
I can speak most knowledgeably about New Haven because that is my background. The U.S. Coast Guard regulates marine terminals, and they regulate under the Marine Terminal Security Act, physical security and cybersecurity. Every facility or operator needs to have a plan that is submitted to the Coast Guard. They need to do access control. They need to do rounds, and they need to have a security component of that plan. That plan has to be submitted to the Coast Guard, approved by the Coast Guard. They need to do drills. They need to do exercises. They need to do inspections. The Coast Guard does drills and exercises and inspections to ensure that they are maintaining compliance with their plan. I can't speak particularly to any individual facility's plans because part of the requirement is you don't share them with the general public.
I appreciate that. And my last question, Mr. Chair, Colmar in the New Haven terminal. Can you speak a little bit about them?
Colmar is the owner of a facility called American Green Fuels, which is a biodiesel facility in New Haven Harbor. They rent the space from another one of the facilities that is there. They manufacture biodiesel. They bring in some feedstock by vessel, but mostly they bring it in via rail or truck, and they mix it and then they sell it and they distribute it. I'm not sure what else you would like to know.
Any issues with them as far as the port was concerned?
They have not had any issues with the Port Authority itself, no.
Great. Thank you. That was my only two questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative. Senator Looney.
Good morning. It's my great pleasure to nominate you for this position, given your years of service in New Haven. Sorry, I missed the first part of the hearing. I was at another meeting on the way up here. A couple of things. You served for 18 years as you presided over the New Haven Harbor Cooperative. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about your experience there. And what you learned during that lengthy period of time. And that also, I think, covered the period of years that I remember we had a significant controversy around 2010 when there was a plan to dredge Bridgeport Harbor. And at the time, the Army Corps of Engineers floated the idea of having the fill removed out of there and put into a borrow pit in New Haven Harbor. I remember at the time, Governor Malloy, who was running at the time, pledged that none of the state deep permits that would be required to have that happen would be granted. So just some of your recollections of that time or the things you worked on during that that period before you came to your current position.
Do you mind hitting your button? Thank you.
The New Haven Harbor Cooperative is a cooperative made up of the terminals that operate in New Haven and related businesses. And they coordinate with the local, certainly with the city and the state DEP and the Coast Guard. Most directly, but also FBI and Customs and Border Protection. So it was interesting because it's been in operation for about 40 years. And there had been other cooperatives in other harbors around the state and for the Coast Guard around the country that sort of fell by the wayside. And the members of those cooperatives in the state of Connecticut kind of came to New Haven's. So they do monthly meetings, they do educational stuff. If there's a new regulation that's coming out that may affect them, they do exercises and training together. They work cooperatively for their mutual benefit. It is a great way in which everybody who manages any one of those terminals is on a first name basis with everybody else who manages the others. And if something's happening at Global, Mike can just get on the phone and talk to Greg at Instructure, or Peter at American Green Fuels. They're all on first name basis. They see each other regularly for longer term issues. The controversy with the Bridgeport dredge material, they were perturbed, just like the residents of the city of New Haven, just like the residents of the towns surrounding New Haven, with the idea that the Army Corps would bring contaminated material to the borrow pit in Morris Cove. And, you know, it part because it reduces the volume area for disposal of material from dredging New Haven Harbor itself. And dredging New Haven Harbor is essential to the continued operation of those facilities. So they were upset. They were probably not as upset as the residents and the state, however.
Yes, I remember it well because I live in Morris Cove, and that
Yeah.
I represent that area as well. I became it was an issue, I think, that at the time candidate Malloy seized on to gain enthusiastic community support by pledging that he would in no way cooperate in any way with whatever the state might be required to do in connection with fostering that.
On the downside for the businesses in Bridgeport, that delayed dredging that harbor further. So I can see why they were not thrilled.
Right, right. But it was a bad plan to think that it could be satisfactorily moved to New Haven.
Yes, the current plan is to build a CAD cell,
Yes,
or actually
right,
two, and that's a much better plan.
right. And as the day-to-day operations manager for the Port Authority, been doing that for the last 5 years or so. And your statement said that you've used a grant provided by the Connecticut Port Authority to develop a strategic master plan for the Port of New Haven. Just your thoughts on what are the key elements of that plan, and what do you think needs to be done as a primary initiative to help the New Haven Port reach its full potential?
The New Haven port is very confined in terms of area, space, land. Anything that we can do to expand the port, yet in a very consolidated manner. It is not the wish of the city of New Haven nor the residents to, have it be a big sprawling port. So how do we get more physical space? Because some of those potential new markets involve warehousing, and warehouses have to be built somewhere. How do we do that and yet maintain the city the way it wants to be?
Right.
It's a balancing act. It really is.
Right. What about the depth of the water at the New Haven port? Is it adequate, or does it need to also be dredged? Speaking of dredging,
So New Haven is going to be deepened to 40 feet.
Right.
That will be adequate, at least I think for the foreseeable future. The Super Max and Super Panamax vessels that, require 45 plus feet are container ships. New Haven at this time does not accept any container shipping. We don't actually have the facilities on the land side to put them. And speaking of land, container shipping requires a lot of space. So
And what is the current depth? You said it's going to be deep into 40 feet?
40 feet, yeah,
What's it currently?
35.
Right.
It was shoaling in, but they did maintenance dredging in October and brought it back down to 35 feet for now.
Right. So at 40, it still won't be deep enough for the large container ships that require 45, but will there be an expansion possible because of the difference between 35 and 40?
There will be an expansion to new kinds of products. Certainly, that was one of the things the market analysis concluded, was that there are products and there are shippers that don't want to come into New Haven now because it is too shallow at 35 feet. But at 40 feet, it's a possibility.
Great.
So, and in terms of the facilities that are already there and the business streams that are already there, it will make them more efficient. You can bring the same amount of material in with fewer vessels.
Right. Now, do you see any change in the mix of materials that may be brought into the port right now? A lot of fuels come in there, and it's a primary location for offloading fuels and salt and other things. Do you looking ahead to the master plan that you've been involved in? Do you see any significant change in the mix of products that will come into New Haven?
One of the reasons to look at potential markets in the master plan and to do the master plan was to look at sort of the transition. What would New Haven be well suited to transition to when it's not bringing so much fuel, when it's not bringing in. And one of the things that was a surprise to me is that that isn't going to happen as soon as I thought it was. So we have to make which gives us, I think, in some ways, more time to prepare for new products and new product lines and cargoes. But, it isn't happening as fast as I thought it would be.
Good. Well, thank you very much and look forward to your service on the Connecticut Port Authority.
Thank
Thank you, Senator. Are there any other questions or comments from committee members? Looking online, I don't see any hands raised. So Ms. Cruz, before you go, there's one question we ask of every nominee. Is there anything in your past that you believe might prove embarrassing to this committee, to the governor, to the state of Connecticut?
There is not.
Wonderful. And congratulations again, and thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
All right. Well, with nothing else on the public hearing agenda, we will adjourn the Executive Legislation Nominations Committee's public hearing. We will adjourn it and go directly into a committee meeting once our clerk is ready. You good? Okay. All right, so we will convene the Executive and Legislative Nominations Committee for Tuesday, February 10th, 2026 to order. Just a note, there is a typo on the agenda. It should say House Joint Resolution and Senate Joint Resolution. So they're both the agenda items are joint. All right. So with that, is there a nomination? The first one is the House Joint Resolution for you, a nomination confirming the nomination of James Donegan of Milford to be a member of the Board of Directors for the Connecticut Port Authority.
Move it, JF.
Motion made. All right. Motion made by Representative Godfrey, seconded by Representative Haynes. Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Duff. Concepcion.
Yes.
Looney. Godfrey. Berthel.
Yes.
Yakarino,
Yes.
Vizino,
Yes.
Bonferra, Gresco,
Yes.
Haynes.
Yeah.
Harding. Hartley. Kushner. Linehan. Martin. Nuccio. Quinn. Rutigliano. Sanchez.
Representative Sanchez votes yes.
Scott. And Winfield.
All right, we will leave open or votes open until 3 o'clock today. The second item on the agenda is a Senate joint resolution for review. This is the resolution confirming the nomination of Sally Cruz of Hamden to be a member of the Board of Directors for the Connecticut Port Authority. Is there a motion? Motion made by Senator Looney, seconded by Representative Godfrey. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Duff.
Yes.
Concepcion.
Yes.
Looney. Godfrey.
Yes.
Berthel.
Berthel is a yes.
Yakarino.
Yes.
Vizino.
Yes.
Bonferra. Gresco.
Rep. Gresco votes yes.
Haynes. Harding. Hartley. Kushner. Linehan. Martin. Nuccio. Quinn. Rutigliano. Sanchez.
Rep. Sanchez votes yes. That's what we are.
Scott. And Winfield.
All right, that's all the items on the agenda today. Our next meeting is next Tuesday, 11 o'clock, same location. With that, we stand in recess till 3 p.m. Thank you all.
I recommend. Hi, Rep. Quinn. If you're ready, I'm happy to take your votes.
Just so you know, I'm online.
Dean, can you hear me?
Who are you? Were you? Hello?
Dean, it's Mike Quinn. Can you hear me? Sorry about that, Rep. Quinn. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know what happened before, but go ahead.
Okay, so we have two.
Yeah.
The first is a House Joint Resolution for Mr. Dunnigan for the Port Authority.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Just a second. And then the next is a Senate Joint Resolution for Sally Cruz to be a member of the Connecticut Port Authority Board of Directors.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Dean.
Good thing.
Hey, Dean, I'm here too.
No worries, sir.
Next week. Thank you. See you next week. I know.
Just a second, sir. It's a little noisy. in here.
Yep.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, Senator, the first is a House Joint Resolution for.
Yes. Yeah,
Thank you.
I know both of them. I was watching. I just didn't get on.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
there anything you do with the sheets we filled out until, the votes come in, or is it?
Easier?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to, Hey, Senator.
Hey, Dean.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. All right, so I have two resolutions today. Both are for the Connecticut Port Authority Board of Directors. The first is a House Joint Resolution for Mr. Donegan of Milford. How do you vote, sir?
I would take it, everybody said yes?
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. And then the second one for the same Board of Directors for Sally Cruz of Hamden. It's a Senate Joint Resolution.
Were there any no's?
I can't really disclose that before the vote's closed.
Oh.
But
Okay, yes,
okay, great. Thank you.
thank
very-
you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Need to. Is this that? Hey, Dean, are you there?
Hey, Kitty. Yeah,
All right, I'm gonna have Steve sit down.
sounds good. Hey, Senator.
Hi, how are you?
Well, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. We had two resolutions today. Both were for
I
the.
didn't hear you well. I just, but I'm a yes on both, votes.
Oh, okay, great.
Perfect.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. No worries. Thank you. Also.
Hi, Dean.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, thanks. So I have two resolutions today. Both were for the Connecticut Port Authority Board of Directors.
Okay.
The first is the House Joint Resolution for James Donegan of Milford to be a member.
Linehan votes yes.
Thank you. And the second one is a Senate Joint Resolution for Sally Cruz of Hamden.
Linehan votes yes.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Good thing.
Bye.
Bye. Hey, Representative.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you, sir?
I'm well, thank you for asking.
Good.
I appreciate you staying around. I would like to vote.
No problem. So I have two resolutions. Both are for the Port Authority Board of Directors.
Yes,
First is a House Joint Resolution for James Donegan and Milford to be a
I'm
member.
voting yes.
Okay. And the second one is Sally Cruz of Hamden.
I am also voting yes.
Okay, great.
I
That's it.
appreciate your time and look forward to seeing you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sure. Bye.
Hi, Dean.
Hey, Senator, how are you?
Good, Dean. How are you?
Good, thanks. Good to see you.
Good to see. Well, I can't see you. I see Dean O'Brien. That's all I see. But that's fine.
I promise it's me.
It's through the day.
So I've got two resolutions today. One is a House Joint Resolution for James Donegan of Milford to be a member of the Port Authority Board of Directors.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And the second one is a Senate Joint Resolution for Sally Cruz of Hamden to be a member of the Port Authority Board of Directors.
Yes.
Okay, great. That's all I got.
Well, the only time I was going to be a no is if you said Pete Torres was going to be nominated for something.
Me and Dean are great, man, together.
I don't have his letter, so I think you're good there, Senator.
Let me know if you do get it.
I will. I will. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dean.
Good
Have a
thing.
good one.
You
Bye
too.
now.
Bye. Hi, Representative. You're on mute, ma'am.
Sorry,
That's
I
okay.
believe I need to vote.
Yeah, yes, you do. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Sort of. So I have two resolutions today. First is that House Joint Resolution for James Donegan of Milford to be a member of the Connecticut Port Authority Board of Directors.
Yes,
Okay. And the second one is a Senate Joint Resolution, Sally Cruz from Hamden to be a member of the Connecticut Port Authority Board of Directors.
yes, please.
Great. And that's all I got.
Thank you so much. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
You too. Bye.